Thanks a lot for joining us again on TVC Breakfast. Well, the indigenous people of Biafra, that's IPOB, has distanced itself from Simon Ekpa, who is the self-proclaimed Prime Minister of the Biafran government in exile. He was arrested in Finland last week alongside 4 others for terrorist-related activities. Well, according to IPOB spokesperson Ima Powerful, Mr. Ekpa has been recruiting violent criminals to destabilize the southeastern region of Nigeria. Simon Ekpa was arrested alongside 4 others by the Finland government on charges related to terrorism. The Finnish police says he was arrested in suspicion or on suspicion of public incitement to commit a crime with terrorist intent, while the 4 others were arrested for financing the terrorist crime. IPOB has also noted that Mr. Ekpa was never a registered member of the organization. All right, so let's get some more perspectives, fresh insights on this controversy and what next. Joining us in the studio for that conversation is Public Affairs Analyst Oladende Ario. As we started off the program this morning, compliments of the season. I see you're already looking the part. Welcome, Mr. Ario.
Good morning, my sister. It's been a while.
Right, yeah. It's been a while. Good to see you again.
The only CEO of Nigeria. Okay. Good morning.
But Mr. Ario, what do you make of this issue? You've spoken to the controversy, you've lent your voice to this debate over the years, and here we are now. Let's just have your general assessment of how things stand.
Thank you very much. I wasn't surprised that he ended up being arrested. There are so many spin-offs and takeaways from this. I will start from there. Number 1, even if you have not dual, triple citizenship, and you are not in your place of birth, you should be very mindful of your activities wherever you may find yourself. Don't take the liberty for freedom to behave and misbehave. Each time I saw video clips on the social media, Simon Ekpa threatening and, sounding as if it has an army of people armed with the latest gadgets that they are coming to invade Nigeria. They will do this, the another. You don't talk this way. And for whatever that has a beginning, it must have an end. The Finnish government brought maturity, diplomacy to bear. They kept quiet. Nigerians were complaining, government was writing letters. They knew what they were doing. They were building up on Simon Ekpa. At the end of their investigation, they picked him up. And 2 things, simply, terrorism and money laundering charges were slammed on him, which for me is a learning point for our security agencies in Nigeria. Don't just go and arrest people and start media trial and tell us investigation will continue. No. Immediately announced that he's been arrested, they also announced his date in court. That is efficiency at a national level. Number 2, you are in another country, sovereign nation, and you built up like a setup where you address yourself as Prime Minister of Biafra in exile. And you were, with flags and all their accoutrements that, would normally be of a nation. And you think people would just fold their arms and allow you to run riot like that? So he worked himself into what he has found himself. And I can also say that at the end of it all, the IPOB that he kept mounting just disowned him.
That's my concern right now, because
it shouldn't be your concern.
Why I say it's a concern? Because he's been doing all of this for quite a long time, and IPOB in Finland or anywhere did not come out to disown him until now. Don't you see that as surprising?
It's not surprising. Failure is always an orphan.
Oh, okay.
And then number 2, I have read the evolution of nation states and the emergence of countries. In the last 20 years, no country emerged from another the way he was going about it. Go and study political history, and you will see everybody is disgruntled at one time or the other with Nigeria. I am disgruntled. As a copper, I met an outside girl in the camp, and then in a war, 84, 85, and then we were dating. So when we left the camp and I started work, I went to visit a family in Janguza. It's somewhere in Kano, I can't remember now. The moment the father saw me, and he asked, "From where?" And I said, "From Lagos." Yoruba, he said, "Yes." I also asked me, "Are you a Muslim?" I said, "No, I'm a Christian." The man just walked away from me. I had a big bag because I bought something for every member of that family. So I dropped my bag, and the girl came, she was in tears. Yeah, "What do we do?" I said, "I don't know." And it was a military barrack for that matter. So I had to walk away from Hassana. And for all I care, I'm sorry, it had effect on my marital life. Subsequently, we met later, over 20 years after in New York, and Hassana had gone through 3 marriages. These are the ways that she was aggrieved that her father would have tolerated me, but he didn't hide it. So everybody is aggrieved. The question is that enough reason for me to take up arms against my country? No. There are ways things are managed. No sitting government anywhere will tolerate or allow you to challenge the authority and power. No. If they just give you a long rope, they are giving you that rope so that when they are ready to get you, it will be easy to hang you. So these are the issues. And I don't understand the mindset, the way it was. I thought by now there must have been burning of houses and killing of people across Nigeria with the kind of zest. Was always talking, advocating violence. And let me tell you, no country in the world will tolerate the twin brothers of terrorism and money laundering. Okay. They will not. Okay, so now, you won't fold your arms and say, "Oh, it's my neighbor's problem." No. If it can happen with your neighbor, it can happen to you. It's even lucky. Why to be America? They will have taken him out.
Okay, so they're also concerned that because he has dual citizenship,
right,
he will not be extradited to Nigeria to face trial.
We even understand again that he's nowhere Nigerian, but the government he willingly revoked his citizenship and stop.
No, you see, those things
but
they're not as easy as that. The laws in Finland assures that he will never be sent to any other country for prosecution. Why? They wouldn't want him to be punished twice for the same offense. Okay?
Even though he is going to be prosecuted, or he is to be prosecuted for crimes
against that
concern
country. Absolutely. No, it can only, had it been it's an European or a Nordic country, they will allow that. It's in their law. Number 2, Nigeria has no treaty of extradition with Finland. So there is no basis. Even if we write letter or our president goes there physically to say, they will not. Those are the rules of engagement and they must be obeyed. Finland has no reason anyway to circumvent those rules and regulations. So that is coming here to come and serve, we should buy that. Now, if for them to want to renounce citizenship, it's a process as well. Okay? It's not just, because he was found guilty, because he went to jail. No. It's a systematic thing, and the process must be followed. But on this one, let them find him guilty of whatever. He will serve his time in Finland. And besides, I don't want him being brought back to Nigeria. We have Kanu's case on our hands that refused to go away. It's a problem. Let nobody deceive you. How to end Nnamdi Kanu's case is a problem. It's just there. There are cases and cases, judgment after judgment, giving instructions and orders here and there. Yes, it's not looking like he's going to leave detention anytime soon.
And again, there's also the option before the government as to whether to acquit him.
Well, that's also there. But at the bottom of all of that, don't forget that Kanu was another version of Ekpa. The way he was talking those days, threats of violence here and there, which came full-blown during NSAS protests. Okay? For that reason, the thinking will be, look, this guy is better kept here than allowed to run free because they may not be able to determine what he will do. And you can imagine that for him to be rendered and brought back to Nigeria was another
drama.
The drama, yeah. They had to trail him to Kenya, and then he was brought in. So when you look at no government, no sitting government will tolerate. It's like in a family. As a father, there's a limit to what you will allow your wife or children relations or what to do within your space, and that is at the bottom of all of these things.
Okay, so let's look at the agitation now. The arrest of Nnamdi Kanu, first of all, and now the arrest of Ekpa. Will this end the agitation?
How will it? It's not going to end it.
Because ideological,
in any case, the two of them didn't start the agitation, if you ask me. Let's not bother going into Ojukwu and the 60s. Masob, brought around by Raf Nwazuruke, began the agitation. After a series of arrests in and out of detention camps, it fizzled out. And from the blues came IPOB. And then it's been one headache, migraine today, headache tomorrow. For the government, since that time till date, if they don't want to admit, then they will be begging the issue. At the end of the day, a lot of unwholesome things started happening. ESN came up, unknown gunmen came up, violence became the order of the day in the Southeast. I have had series of invitations to the Southeast that I could not honor. And this was me. Growing up, I had a friend, Martin Sunegbu from Akwahede in the Nnewi South. I spent 5 Christmas sessions with his family. I didn't go to Abeokuta. Against my mother's instruction. Why? We were very close friends. I was following him to the east. Can I do it now? No. If I should try it, coming back alive is not guaranteed for me. I had a meeting. I did a paper on using sports as a panacea for youth delinquency. We were invited to Owerri for a presentation. When we got to Ihiala, we got information that we should not proceed further. We had to stay back in Ihiala for 3 weeks. And they were going and coming and all of that. At the end of the day, nothing could be done. When you look at that, plus the fact that Monday in Yoruba land, they call it Ojo Aje, the day of commerce, of trade, of money. In the entire Southeast, if you dare come out on Monday,
it's at home.
And that is also a build-up to another point. Nnamdi Kanu has publicly said he doesn't support the sit-at-home order, that is even anti-Igbo. Exactly. But Simon Ekpa
represent commerce and trade, industry.
But Simon Ekpa would have none of that. So we actually saw a build-up before they now came out to disown him now, that the two of them have opposite ideologies, and they both claim to be fighting for the IPOB cause. And
don't forget that Ekpa was not there at the beginning of the race. He just emerged from somewhere, especially after Kanu had been rendered. And you would have thought that they were acting in unison. But there have been differences and disagreements between them along the way. Just that IPOB never came out to say, look, we don't know this guy, like they did now. It pains to see that on Monday, the entire state is locked down. I was in Umudim, Innocence Motors factory. There was a project we had. We wanted to buy that. They would come and see their factory. We had an easy ride from Onitsha through Ogidi, down to Umudim. Can I do that now? No. Would that not affect their businesses? Plenty. In an economy where we are saying things are not what they should be, nobody, not even a whole community, a whole tribe, to be subjected to solid. I saw a video one day, a woman was boiling rice and beans. When these guys got there, they threw away her rice and beans. Who will compensate her? Nobody. The woman had to run for her life, because if she had said, probably she would have been killed. So all of these things put together are the reasons why they are not going to be allowed to have their way.
Okay.
And I've been bothered. Why? I have said it before, that where are the leaders of opinion in the Southwest? Leaders of thought, leaders of faith, traditional rulers. They should gather and find a solution to this thing. if anybody says, I mean, it's just like nothing in life is permanent. Even marriage is not permanent, right? If I mean, why do we have the word divorce or separation? So fine. The Constitution says Nigerians' unity is not negotiable. Fine, but if any section of the country wants to go, there are procedures, all right, globally acceptable procedures, not the carnage that they are going through in the East. I remember seeing Professor Dr. Akunyili, the husband of Edora, dying on the road. He was badly shot. People couldn't move near him. They were using camera to record the man. His last day, he died. I mean, when you remember those things, and several people who have been killed mindlessly because of this agitation, it pains, because the death of anyone diminishes the rest of us.
All right, so IPOB spokesperson for Ima Powerful had accused the government and Finnish government, both governments, of, I'm reading what he said, of shielding Ekpa from arrest.
I read it,
before now.
And I was,
yes.
Yeah, that was before now.
Yes, before now.
But don't forget that the government of Nigeria had made moves to get him extradited, and they were told that he's their citizen. They cannot. But you see, we must appreciate the Finland government. While all that was going on, they were building up on their own investigation, so that by the time they think, Omo, you've had it up to here, there will be no escape point for Ekpa. And it was what happened. The people who, the 4 other people that were arrested along with him, they were arrested because they had financial transaction with him. So it's just the same thing that, oh, you were funding terrorism, and you are advocating and making life unbearable for your people back home in Nigeria. So whether Powerful said they are shielding him or not, now the story has changed. It's no longer being shielded. It was in court last week, and I can tell you, it's not like our own judiciary that you will say man, no man. Nobody knows nobody in Finland. Before you know, before the end of November, December, the guy will have been sentenced.
Okay, so the concern for me as well is that while he was declaring sit-at-home order, there were avenues and mediums he was using to declare all of those orders.
Through social media.
Through social media, every other medium, right? And so, like I asked earlier, will this end the agitation? Won't this also see to that someone else comes on stream to continue his works while he's in prison from wherever?
Let me say that he may not. I won't say he will not. He may not. Okay. When Uwazulike walked away from agitation, Nnamdi Kanu emerged. Kanu was incarcerated. Simon Ekpa emerged. And Ekpa Powerful, for instance, now he's talking. If he should walk into Abuja, he will be arrested. I mean? True. So, and there are tens of thousands of
agitated
Kanu, Ekpa on the street. The question is understanding, okay? Now, oh, why am I going to be doing this? And then where will I end? Because you must always project so that you don't just walk yourself into trouble.
But the agitation is
the
not...
The point is, it's not personal.
It's logical.
It's not personal, it's losing. It's cultural, traditional, yes, and also political. Get it from all those platforms. But the truth is that the best option available to them?
And you asked a question earlier on that where are the leaders of thought? Yes. Because my question or my understanding of this issue now is influence. The power of influence. How we are seeing, okay, somebody is online, is encouraging people to make crucial donations monthly. A particular tweet from Simon Ekpa that men and women who believe in this ideology should come in $10,000 every month for the next 6 months or thereabouts. And of course, we are seeing, and that is even part of the offenses against him, attributed to him. Help us to speak to, the issue, to this issue we see on ground now, the presence or otherwise of leaders who can use their influence or who are using their influence to dissuade Southeasterner, the average Southeasterner, away from this issue of IPOB agitation. Are there options that, they can work with or negotiate with the government or use to engage government if negotiation is not the word?
The possibility of conversation, not negotiation now, conversation. Whatever will emerge from that, maybe negotiation and maybe compromise, which may also lead to Kanu being freed.
Being freed.
It has to be started in the first place. But let me also tell you that there are silent supporters of Simon Ekpa, both in Nigeria and abroad, who are funding his activities. He has boys on ground in Nigeria taking instruction from him and carrying out his orders. Ekpa has not been to Nigeria in a long time, but his no work on Monday is being effectively enforced. I remember there was a time school children could not sit for West African Education Council papers. Because of this, they had to shift the date. And when you look at that, you can see that there's an organization in place, there's a structure in place. Somebody says something somewhere, it is carried out here. And don't forget that these operatives, they get paid, they are funded, they all are armed. Who gets them armed? Who buys them bullets? How do they, they don't farm, most of them don't do any other thing than to enforce whatever they were asked to do by the same Ekpa. So that structure is there. Maybe if he gets jailed, that may dismantle or obstruct the structure, but it may not totally collapse the structure or bring an end to it.
In the news this morning, Enugu State says it is ready. It is compiling records, because the other day our guest was speaking about proof, that how do you want to prove that he is, and we threw the question at him, but he's been active on social media saying all of that. Enugu State government spokesperson is now saying that they have documented proof of his atrocities.
His complicity, yes. It's not hidden. Just go to Google and
will
type.
Provide it to Finland.
They don't need additional evidence from Nigeria. They already have enough before they said to pick him up. He's being picked up wasn't at the prompting of the Nigerian government. Let's get that very clear.
So Nigeria has been gunning for...
Yes, but they were building up. Oh, this guy has been doing this, so how do we pick him up? How do we end all this? Because he's abusing his presence on the state that he has on their land. It's not in Nigeria's favor or interest that they allowed him to do that. But the laws protected him to a large extent. So until his court became full and they had what to lay against him, the charges to lay against him, they picked him up. And those two charges alone, the world takes them seriously. Terrorism and money laundering. So, as it is, he will go to jail. There's no two ways to that.
No, but international standards say he's innocent until proven
and when he goes to jail, the structure that he has put on ground
still remains.
What happens to the structure? Funding may stop or cease momentarily. Don't forget that, because they know they have access to his bank accounts and other details. So they may impound all of that funding.
What about the weapons?
The weapons are already in the hands of the people. Maybe if funding stops and they could no longer buy bullets, but they have the guns, and that's the truth. They have the guns. But when you look at the number of lives that have been wasted, there was a particular Igbo lady who was in the military. She was going home to present her fiancé to the family. All of them were in military uniform. They were arrested. When I saw the video of what they did to them, I cannot begin to talk about. I was like, why? Even if the lady is in the army, that's our job. She's your sister or blood. Why do you have to do this to her? Slaughtering her like some piece of goat. And the guy sat down, mindlessly. The guy, man, another story entirely. So when you look at all those numbers and figures, you will not want to pray that they should be given space to continue, because the Southeast have not benefited from all of these things. That's the truth.
Now, today is Monday. Will that...
They will be home. The woman
despite the arrest.
It's not enough. Because we call them non-state actors. They gave instructions. people started obeying. Why? They were using the instrumentation of violence and fear. And the likelihood of your being violated, killed, maimed was very high. So people will stay away. And even Anambra, those said, he's not going to take it, they should come out. What has he put in place to ensure that, okay, if you come out, you will be safe?
And talking about fear, what do you think will happen now, or what do you want to happen now, especially on the part of, Southeastern elites or Southeastern politicians who have a stake or who have a role to play in the current administration?
Thank you very much. I have always said it, that everywhere, every human community, they have leadership. Some will have emerged because they are wealthy or they are rich. Some could have come from families that are considered noble or elite. Some could have emerged from being religious leaders, some from taking tithes and all that. So when things are not going right, you expect those classes of people to gather together, meet, and take a common position. And whoever is in charge of the atrocity, you call them to a table and say, look, we understand your situation, we appreciate you, but please, what you are doing is antithetical to our growth, development, and survival. Please, we will not want it here. Now, Yoruba said, Agba tí ò kẹ́hùn sọ̀rọ̀, akẹ̀tàn sáré. An elder that fails to talk, when he should talk, he will have to run. You understand? Whereas it shouldn't be so. But one by one, Ekpa is from Ebonyi State, but his boys operate across the entire Southeast. One by one, these guys were allowed to build up structures, were allowed to develop, and begin to make life fearful. People who saw their brothers, sisters, neighbors, or classmates killed will not want to follow the same path. So everybody will just stay away. But at this point that has been taken in, I think the government of the state should call for, of the governments now of the Southeast should call for a conference or something, a meeting, a large village square meeting where everybody will come and say what they want. Let me tell you, it is not easy to cut away from Nigeria. My grandmother's village, right there in Ogun State, 90% of people living there now are from Benue and Anambra State. They pay, I'm the ballet of the village, they pay to me. 90% of them, each time I show up, I will dance with them. I will eat. They know I love ofe nsala with a cold eba.
They prepare.
So it is not easy. And Igbo, they are very mobile. Go anywhere, you will find them.
Some remote villages.
Yeah, so if you say you want to go, what happens to your assets?
All right.
All right.
It's a fine place to leave this conversation. Mr. Olade Ndiario, we thank you very much for your contributions.
Thank you for having me.
Right. Right. You're watching